So it's official. Tottenham Hotspur now have one of the best managers in the world in charge. This is a horrific day on so many levels. I really am depressed with this. This one has hit me hard. I think that it has hurt me so much because it's got under my skin. Antonio Conte is probably my favourite ever Chelsea manager. The season I had following Chelsea when Antonio Conte was our manager was definitely the best I've ever had. Following Chelsea home and away and in Europe that season, that he arrived in his first year in the Premier League was a thing of beauty. He landed at Chelsea, a club that were in turmoil, a club that were in disarray. The disparity between the fans, the players, the board, it was never greater. Everything was wrong with the club. It felt like a fairly poisonous place to be at times the previous season. And suddenly, Antonio Conte landed. He took the club that finished 10th the previous season to the Championship. Chelsea won the league that year. A team that finished 10th the previous season rocketed their way up the league, and it was all due to Antonio Conte's brilliance. Tottenham now have this great man in charge. I truly love Antonio Conte. There is an element of betrayal. I'm really upset that it's gone this way because I adore him. Like I say, he is one of the best. And just to make it that double-edged sword, the thing that makes it so hard to bear, as much as I love Conte and as much as I think Conte is brilliant, I also now feel like Tottenham have got it right. Tottenham are a club that have been trying, in the Levy era, but even previously, trying desperately to get it right with regard to a manager. They were desperate to find the solution, and they tried all sorts of things. You know, you can go right back. They appointed Arsenal's George Graham at one point when they were so desperate. There was a Christian Gross. There was a Jacques Santini. It was bad judgment after bad judgment. The Villas-Boas era, the Martin Yeo era, one of my favourites, the Tim Sherwood era. And it was forever laughable. They forever made mistakes, and we knew that they'd got it wrong. The thing that was so great about it is everybody knew. Everybody knew that it was an error. Even Jose Mourinho felt wrong. And by the time they appointed Jose Mourinho, despite the fact that I once loved him, I felt like Mourinho was past it. I felt like Mourinho had demonstrated to us time and time again that he wasn't right. He wasn't a good enough manager anymore. So when he went to Tottenham, on some level I found it quite funny because I felt like it would end the way that it did, which is in a disaster without any silverware. But they have now managed to appoint a master tactician, an incredible manager, and somebody whose track record of winning silverware it's so admirable. I think he has won 8 out of the last 11 leagues that he has competed for. Antonio Conte is a man that just wins silverware wherever he goes. And not only does he win silverware, and this is what makes it so worrying for anyone who doesn't support Tottenham, not only is he brilliant at winning silverware, but he's brilliant at taking teams from a low point to silverware. And that is exactly what Tottenham are at the moment, and that is exactly what Tottenham need. We've discussed what he did at Chelsea. He took a team that finished 10th the previous season to the title and to the FA Cup final. Remember, he was a Rizzler paper away from doing the double. But that isn't the only time he's done it. In 2011, Conte took over Juve. Juve, at the time, was 7th. He guided them to winning 3 Scudettos in a row. He took the team that finished 7th the previous season to 3 in a row. He started that run, that era of dominance from Juventus, that 9 in a row that we saw. He started that run. Not only did he start it, but 9 years later, he was back to end it. He went to Inter Milan and he ended that run, which is just truly amazing. I think it would have been 2014, took over Italy. The Italy side that I think was knocked out of the group stages of the 2 previous World Cups, he takes over. Suddenly, they're in a quarter-final and they're knocked out by the team that ultimately win it on penalties. It was a very average team. I remember watching that World Cup. They were a very average team. But Antonio Conte got them playing for each other, playing so well, fighting for everything. And ultimately, they were very close. They were very close. They got beaten on penalties by the side that won it. And when you compare that to what had happened 2 previous World Cups, it does show you just quite how good they are. Even more recently, he took over Inter in 2019 They'd finished 4th the previous season. Second year, they win the league. And you look at the way that some of their performances along the way that he elevated certain players' performances. Look at the player Hakimi is, look at the player Romelu Lukaku is. And in that was the first time that Inter Milan had won the league for 11 years. So that is what Antonio Conte can do. He can take clubs that feel like they're in turmoil, feel like they're in disarray, and secure silverware. He can also take fairly distinctly average-looking footballers who we know or we feel aren't up to it. A good example here, Victor Moses. Victor Moses had been on loan at Stoke, he'd been on loan to West Ham, wasn't really working for him at Chelsea, it looked like his time at Chelsea was over. He comes in, Conte comes in, all of a sudden, Victor Moses is the best right back in the league. Victor Moses scored a winner against Tottenham that season, actually. 2-1 at Stamford Bridge. Pedro scored a blinder as well. But that's what he can do. He took Victor Moses from an average football player, a player that didn't really have a future at Chelsea, made him the best right back in the league. Marcos Alonso, a player who fairly limited, decent at what he does, but fairly limited, best fullback in the league that year. Learns from his mistakes. We went to Arsenal. We were 3-0 down at half-time. Mesut Ozil pulling the strings. Such a pragmatic manager, Antonio Conte. He managed to see what was going on, 3-0 down at half-time. He made sure that Chelsea didn't concede another goal. We then found a new shape, a new formation, changed the personnel, changed the shape. We went on a 14-game unbeaten run. We practically won the league before Christmas that year. All through Conte's brilliance, all through Conte's clever, pragmatic mind, finding solutions to problems. And that's now what Tottenham have. Tottenham have the best manager in the world. That isn't an extreme thing to say. He is the best manager in the world. There are certain managers that you can say that about and have a debate. You can say Pep Guardiola is the best manager in the world. You can say Thomas Tuchel is the best manager in the world. You can say Jurgen Klopp is the best manager in the world. You can say Antonio Conte is. All can be debated, all can be correct, all can be countered. But that is now what Tottenham have secured. And after years of getting it so wrong, it pains me to say it, but I feel like Tottenham have got it spot on here. He will have gone there, obviously securing a lot of money for his own skyrocket, but also with the pledge of an awful lot of money. We're hearing that it's 100 million in the next transfer window. He wouldn't have gone there without that sort of guarantee. So the fact that that has been given to him is a worry for the rest of the league. Because Antonio Conte this season is a bit of a write-off, but despite what I say about Tottenham, despite what I say about the club and the fact that their size is an illusion, Antonio Conte changes it. And you feel like they will end their drought for a trophy. I can see it happening, actually. But this season, effectively what he has now is 3/4 of a season to use as a pre-season. So imagine what he'll be doing. He'll be experimenting, and this time next year, when the season starts, he'll be really going for the Premier League, I think. That will be his ambition. Dear, oh dear. Will he end their trophy drought now? Remember, 2 League Cups since 1991 for that great cup team. He will be desperate to end that. Makes you pine for the days of David Pleat, doesn't it? It's a shame, but if you're a Tottenham fan, you should be buzzing because this is very good. You can see the river there, can't you? See the river? That's the Thames. I'm probably about to go and throw myself in it. So please click subscribe and I'll see you all in a bit. In fact, I'm going to leave you with a line. I'm going to leave you with a line from a film. It reminds me, it's a London-based film. Comment below if you know the name of the film. You're fat and I'll throw you in the river. That's what I'm about to do. I'm off. Oh, Tottenham.